Welcome back. It's Tim and Julie Harris, and this is your favorite daily real estate coaching and training podcast. But of course, this being Friday, we have an unusual show for you. On Fridays, Julie and I are unhinged. We talk about really whatever we want to talk about. And usually, Julie brings a few stories to share with all of you that's designed to make you laugh mostly, take a little bit of the pressure off of the normal real estate day. And then you guys have to vote which of the stories you want to hear more about, or more specifically, which of the stories you thought were the best that Julie shared. Now, I do want to warn you, those of you who voted in the past saying you like the alien stories, you better be careful because you're encouraging Julie to talk more about aliens and search out more alien stories. So do realize that you are literally choosing what the topics of your future Friday shows are going to be. So Julie, without any further delay.
That's right. And strangely, on today's show, there's nothing about aliens, I don't think. There is one story about real estate. So pay attention and vote for your favorite. As Tim said, you are creating partially, you're voting on the topics for next Friday. All right. So story number one. And again, as Tim said, we're departing on Friday. You can use these talking points when you go to parties this weekend. Somebody said once that to have more interesting friends, you have to be more interesting yourself. So maybe talk about something other than real estate sometimes. And as Tim, you sometimes say, don't have real estate breath right off of the bat, right?
Well, but Julie, you just said something that's now I'm hoping that these guys are bridging the gap. You're about to tell them irreverent stories that are designed to make them go, aha, and make them laugh. So maybe these aren't the types of stories that you want to be sharing with people to get them to maybe like you, because maybe they're just a little bit too weird, but you guys.
You can vote. Let us know.
Exactly.
All right. On the topic of education, did you know that MIT offers a real pirate certificate? This is true. At MIT, you can actually earn a certificate in pirate arts. And no, this isn't a joke. If you complete physical education classes in archery, sailing, fencing, and pistol shooting, you'll officially become a certified pirate by MIT standards. While some colleges hand out gym credits for yoga or badminton, MIT says, how about becoming a swashbuckling legend? It's the kind of unexpected tradition that makes even a prestigious tech school feel like an adventure novel. So if you've ever dreamed of being a pirate with a diploma, now you know where to go.
Oh my God, this is just more reason why we need to spend Zoe's college savings fund.
I thought the same
Honestly,
thing.
I mean, you and I did whatever that college saving thing was when she was born, when we lived in Texas, and now I'm just seriously thinking hard about just taking that money back, and you and I just splurge in Vegas or something.
Questioning our choices, our
Exactly.
investment choices.
I mean, if she's quite a ways off from going to college, but if this is where colleges are going to try to basically fleece parents out of their kids' college tuition, and what kid the hell's okay? I'm going to go to MIT.
I'm majoring in swashbuckling.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you go to MIT and you're thinking you're going to learn to be a scientist or some sort of great creator or the next, Elon Musk type thinker or whatever. Nope, you're learning to be a pirate.
That's right. And related to that, to your comment about education, that brings us to point number two. Let's say that you wanted to learn Spanish. Well, here's our number two story. Again, you guys remember to vote. Lost parrot returns after 4 years. Speaking Spanish? A British family's pet parrot missing for 4 years has finally come home. But there's a twist. He doesn't speak English anymore. When he vanished, he had a clear British accent, but after an unexpected reunion, the family was stunned to hear him chattering fluently in Spanish instead. No one knows where he's been, but it's clear he picked up a whole new language while he was away. From hello to que paso, this bird's had quite the adventure. Proof you can travel, disappear, reinvent yourself, and even come back bilingual.
Do you think he was using Duolingo for that?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
You know what? He is the bird from Duolingo.
Maybe he is the Duolingo bird.
Doesn't your Duolingo bird swear at you in Spanish when you don't use the app enough?
Absolutely. That's right. Well, now we know where he came from.
It is pretty fascinating. I've always wanted to get a bird, and of course you won't let me. But you remember we had some real estate clients and some friends that had those big giant macaw parrots, I think they were.
Yep.
And those things, and you and I, when we were working with the French Bulldog Rescue thing, we kind of dabbled in looking into somehow how the other rescues worked with other types of animals. And the macaw rescue, if I remember correctly, this is when we were doing some rescues in Southern California. If you remember this,
yep.
That the problems with the macaws is they often outlive their owners. And they get depressed when their owners pass away. And then some of these macaws, don't they live like 70 or 80 years old? Isn't that,
I think even older, some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. So those guys, especially one that's as adventurous as the one that you just described in the UK, who's going to probably Spain. I mean, where else would he have flown to pick up Spanish?
I don't know. I don't, maybe he was just at somebody's house where they were doing Duolingo constantly. Who knows
Or
how he
maybe,
picked it up?
or maybe he got the app himself.
It could be. Remember the story from a few Fridays ago where the parrots learned how to order parrot treats using Alexa?
Yeah, I know. That's just hilarious. And I did see that story. I read more about it turns out that the birds who teach each other bad words at zoos and then
Hmm.
swear and make fun of the people looking at the birds, the guests,
Yeah,
that's actually more than just one zoo. Turns out that that's not a rare occurrence whatsoever
it's a
because
thing.
the birds are obviously really smart and trying to, make fun of all the people that are admiring their pretty feathers.
Exactly. So beware. You've been warned. You heard it on the Friday show. All right. So point number three, or segment number three. There's been a lot of talk about bookstores going away, right? Barnes and Noble's going away, and Amazon roasted everyone, and there's no more bookstores. And you've seen some closures and some reports over the years. However, here's something interesting. Barnes and Noble has a comeback story. Once left dead in the age of Amazon, Barnes and Noble has staged a remarkable turnaround. Under CEO James Daunt, the company reversed its one-size-fits-all approach and instead empowered local managers to make the decisions that reflect their own communities. No more central book ordering. Store managers now decide what to stock based on what their actual customers want. There's over 150 new stores planned for this year. New stores, okay? Profits are climbing and reader engagement is back. The average store is now more like a curated indie shop. And in fact, there's more. I don't have it all in the notes, but I read a lot about this. And one of the reasons, and you and I, when we had our eyes done in Florida, do you remember that new Barnes and Noble that we went to?
We did. Yeah, I remember. I know
Okay.
exactly what you're talking about. It was different, way different.
It was really fresh and new feeling, and I read a lot of details about that. One of the things that they attribute that to is their new CEO used to run little indie bookstores. So he has a sensitivity for it being like more of a community cultural kind of meeting spot in your neighborhood. One of the things that he did was he eliminated all of the dark colored traditional bookshelves. So you notice that it looked nice and fresh. And many of the stores eliminated that like completely burnt coffee smell that you used to smell
Well,
when you
didn't they get
walked
rid of
in.
the Starbucks too? Wasn't that
Yeah,
the other thing?
a
They got
lot of
rid of
them they have.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, makes sense. It's really fascinating and I'm thinking about this. It just goes to show that the return of people, or rather people, I say the return of, but people always have needed to be around other people, the
Hmm.
communal aspects of a bookstore, the communal aspects that a lot of people forgot about during COVID and been normalized because of Zooms and all the rest of it. It
Yep.
does make sense that those types of things are going to come back with vengeance, and all
Hmm.
that's going to bounce back. And it of the new elite coaching clients I have, it's also very fascinating to me to see that the cycle that they've typically gone through is, even though they've been listening to, many of them have been listening to the podcast for a long period of time, and they've heard us rally against essentially the formalization, if you want to call it that, of I'd say, essentially getting rid of real direct communication with potential buyers or sellers. There's almost been a glorification of figuring out a way to funnel people so you never have to talk to them,
Yeah,
and all
like
these,
hiding out from business, kind of.
well, hiding out from having to have conversations with the prospective clients. And
Hmm.
along with that is lost the real obvious skills of knowing how to pre-qualify, knowing how to have conversations that are not overtly salesy, but at the same time helps that buyer or seller move towards their goal of buying or selling real estate, all these types of skills things. And the agents, and so for a long time, and I think really since probably 2008, 2009, we saw it in coaching. We saw a lot of people who all of a sudden, a lot of agents thought, well, I never actually have to learn how to sell. I never actually have to learn how to pre-qualify. Like I just said, never have to learn how to do a listing presentation, all the rest of it. Technology is going to do it for me. I don't actually have to do real lead follow-up. Drip campaigns will do it for me, that type of
Hmm.
logic. But what's happened is that trend, just what it was, that trend has played out. It's been 15 years. People now are realizing that the jury is in, and now realizing again that that stuff is not nearly as effective as actually picking up the phone and doing the real work of real estate. So these elite clients I have, with the exception of maybe one, they are having been up and down that mountain and realizing that the whole idea that you can digitize your real estate business is an elegant lie. And that's truly what it is. And then the folks that are making the most money, and you and I see this with our other elite clients too, and just it's obvious, are the ones that are utilizing those services, utilizing those systems, but they're not relying on them. They're not doing them. They're not putting those systems in place to try to replace what matters the most, which is the direct communication with folks in general. And this Barnes and Noble story is probably just the beginning. There are probably many, many other businesses that are planning on doing similar things because people have an innate desire. Like I'm an introvert and you're an introvert, but I love going to Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, me too.
It's fun hanging out. I mean, it just is. And that's not something you can ever get online. So full circle here, guys, you got to be thinking about what the future actually is going to be like. And probably even with the advent of AI and making everything seem more automated and all the rest of it, you're going to see more people because of the technology wanting to wanting to go to places where they commune with other humans versus the exact opposite. And that should bode well for agents that are willing to have, direct conversations with folks. And frankly, for a lot of mental health, because there's a lot of people that develop mental health problems because they're losing that connectiveness with other humans, and we all need it. So, I mean, that's what that story tells me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And as you were talking, I was thinking about my elite coaching clients who have the highest tendency to be on track or ahead. Do prospect, they do proactive lead generation. They talk to expireds and, all the rest. But the ones that tend to have less ups and downs are the ones that have that type of regular interaction. When we talk about their lead follow-up, for example, they're actually having coffee with somebody. They're meeting them at their house. They're popping by. They're not just setting them and forgetting them. They're not just, letting their AI and follow-up boss do the work for them. They have those systems, but they do what you said. They look at them more as a support tool and less as a lead generator in and of itself.
Yeah. So again, it's like a full circle thing. Like you and I talked a lot during the last, really, let's call it 4.5 years, maybe even 8 years. We talked about the pendulum of politics and the pendulum of society. It swings and has
Sure.
a tendency to go, generally speaking, in our lifetimes, Jules, the pendulum, it could swing this far, but it's only been swinging this far, like this. And during certainly the Biden administration, and probably actually during the previous Trump administration, because of what was going on in the country, it swung way too far to the left. And as a result of that, it left a lot of people really feeling disenfranchised and disconnected and just all the rest of it.
Isolated. And then COVID exacerbated all that.
Exactly. And now what you're seeing is the pendulum swinging all the way back to correct, all the way to the opposite side. And you're seeing, again, look what's happening in politics. And Julie and I are not trying to be political right now, but that is a natural correction that has to happen so that we can end back in the middle where everything feels more balanced, where people can actually have conversations with the other people who don't necessarily agree with them and not want to kill them, where there's
Right.
not these, manufactured divides in civilization, or at the very least, not civilization, but how about just our country, our society, so that we can actually move forward together as a country. I personally feel like that's happening. And I know a lot of people don't want it to happen, but the reality of it is that is happening. And I'll tell you where it excites me the most, shouldn't surprise any of you, is housing. There's interest rates are now at 6.7%. There's in many markets a record number of homes for sale. There's every reason to believe. And I was listening to Logan. I always say his name wrong, Julie.
Motoshami.
Motoshami, right, on Housing Wire this morning, and he was talking about his thesis about the shadow Fed president and the rest of it. And it seems like his thesis is playing out, and that they're now expecting how many price reductions, how many interest rate reductions? I think I heard 7. So,
Yes.
so what
Hope
we're
you're
going to
right.
see, and Julie and I's thesis about Trump's big initiative after the housing, or after the big beautiful budget, or whatever he calls it, passes, is going to be housing. And our thesis, again, will be fun if we're right, is called Make Housing Great Again, because there's never really, housing in itself is such a massive segment of the GDP, but beyond that, it's a massive, incredibly important aspect of feeling like you're an American, right? And the people have tried to move away from the American dream to own a home, but it is truly the American dream is to own a home, own a little part of America in the literal sense. And we're going to see, in my opinion, and Julie and I's opinion, and again, you guys can listen to our past podcasts on this, a return to housing as the American dream focus. And that's going to happen, in our opinion, with Fannie and Freddie coming out of conservatorship. We're going to see a lot of new mortgage products. We're going to see interest rates fall. And all of the wind is at our backs right now in this industry because of the demographics. And again, I don't want to talk about, you guys can listen, just Google make housing great again, and you'll see all of our past podcasts and things we've written about this. And, test our precepts, find out if you agree or don't agree. But really the big takeaway is demographics are going to push housing forward like we've never seen before. And Julie and I believe that the next 25 years is going to be the greatest housing boom in America that we've ever experienced before. And it's starting now. And you're seeing all the pieces that are getting placed on the board. And again, it does definitely feel like there's going to be a big housing announcement in the very near future that's going to start with the release of Fannie and Freddie from conservatorship. And when those companies have to start being public or have to start being publicly traded again, and then they have to start creating more competitive mortgage products. Because right now there's a lot of constraint mortgage products. You guys know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's only certain types of mortgages. There's not very much creativity. It's because Fannie and Freddie have no competition. Well, they're going to have competition when they go public again, and that's going to create big housing bust and all the rest of it. No, there's definitely things in place it probably will never happen again. You can never say never, but probably not for at least 100 years or something. But in the meantime, you got to be organizing your thinking to realize that you are in the right place at the right time, and we are. If you follow the breadcrumbs, definitely at the very beginning stages of what will be a historic housing boom. What are your thoughts, Jules?
Well, I'm just really excited that our podcast listeners and certainly our coaching clients are going to be part of that.
Yeah,
It's like
me
every
too.
day it gets better, especially as we get these announcements that interest rate cuts will happen and all that good stuff. So,
Let me ask you a question though, Julie,
sure.
and we'll go back to your stories. I like your stories today.
Okay.
Julie's story hour is what we should call this. If you are listening to this podcast, and most of the folks listening have listened to us for a long time, some cases years. By the way, if you guys aren't watching us on YouTube, you're missing out. So definitely hop over to YouTube and listen to the podcast or watch the podcast. So Julie, see, I do talk about YouTube.
Thank you.
In case you reminded me to mention YouTube. And yes, of course, like and subscribe. I got that in too, Julie. You
Yes, you
happy now?
did good.
Okay, good.
Nice
All
work.
right. So if you're believing that that what we're saying is true, that this is the beginning stages of what will just be an enormously ever increasing opportunity in the real estate space, what would you be doing now? Seriously. And don't just go with the easy button of sign up for coaching, but what would you be doing?
No,
What would be
I
the
mean,
most important thing for you to be doing now?
sure. Well, obviously sign up for coaching, but I think, it's the conversations that we've been having with our coaching clients and our future coaching clients. One of the things is knowing that rates will eventually come down. And I always caution people, don't expect it to be 3%. That's not
Mm-mm.
happening. But knowing that there's going to be renewed enthusiasm, different types of mortgage products, knowing that half the world has lots of cash to put towards a house anyway. If I were already in the business, I would be stocking up on as many listings as I could possibly handle because the
Same.
listing agent always wins and because listings produce more business.
Yep.
And we're in I would say, I think you would agree with this. We're in a bit of a transitioning market still, depending on where you live in the country. There are still some hot sellers markets like where we own our rentals that, it's still pretty competitive. It's at least in that price range. But in lots of areas, it's transitioning, and we still have this schism between sellers' expectations and buyers' expectations. But that gap is closing because we're getting further away from the expectation of a super low interest rate and all the different things. And we have growing inventory, so buyers have more choices. So that's becoming more and more of a balanced market. Houses still sell. Yes, they take a little bit longer, but I would absolutely be doubling or tripling my magic number of listings that I need to meet or exceed my goals, because as things heat up, that's a great way to increase your business 30 or 40% in 1 year.
No, 100%. And even if you're in like I've got a couple new elite coaching clients, and they're in markets, Julie, where their inventory is it's definitely a buyer's market. There's no doubt, or
Yep.
at least becoming one. And so the answer is still double, triple, quadruple your listings. And if you don't know how to be a listing agent, you're going to miss out on the opportunity, the greatest opportunity, because
Mhm.
what's going to happen is, it is strange. Housing very rarely bubbles up slowly, but it slows down slowly. So it'll go hot. The markets will. It's just interest rates driven at this point. Interest rates drop by. Just imagine this, guys. I mean, Trump was calling for interest rates to be dropped by, the Fed rate to be dropped by 2.5 points. What that translates to in terms of mortgage rates is unknown, but let's just say a lot lower. So if people believe that interest rates on mortgages were going to drop by, let's just say, a point, not only would you see an enormous refinance boom, and a lot of people would do pull out cash outs, which means that there's, I forget the amount of money, I think 31 trillion or something incredible amount of home equity is tied up in real estate. So if people believed interest rates were going to fall, rather if they did fall and people started refinancing to lower rates and then pulling out cash, the amount of money that would be spiked into the economy on a whole would be unprecedented. And you'd see a huge economic boom just from interest rates falling, just from people going on spending sprees, because most people are sitting on enormous amounts of equity in their homes. But in addition to that, what would happen overall to the, essentially the available inventory of homes? People that are sitting on these low mortgages that do have a lot of equity would decide to move, and that would free up more inventory. So all of these things happening in conjunction, just because of interest rates are going to fall, is what we're going to be experiencing. So what we're going to see, in our opinion, is you're going to see the market right now definitely feels like housing was just, did you see this, Jules? I'm sure you did. Total expected home sales is now about what it was last year. Did you see that?
Yes, although I'm enthusiastic about some of the reports I've heard recently from Fannie Mae that they think it could inch up towards 5 million. It's still somewhere between 4 and 5 million, but yeah.
Right. So if you were to see, for example, right now, that's what, it feels like. And so this is what the bottom of the market feels like. This is it.
Right. Like it's stabilized kind of.
Yeah. It's
because
stabilized.
this is like the third year in a row that it's right around 4 million. So it's kind of like, it doesn't seem like it's going to go less than that. And there's starting to be reports that it should start going more than that.
That's the point. So you guys have lived through what will be most likely the bottom. We're hedging there. What will most likely be the bottom of the housing market for the rest of our lifetimes.
Which is awesome. Go us.
Well, you know what's awesome for is a lot of our elite coaching clients, Julie, especially the new ones that have listened to us for a long time, that are now signing up to be elite coaching clients with you or me. They have been doing really, really well in this type of market because
I know. Imagine what they're going to do when things get hotter. And I have to always point out, the thing, maybe what I'm most enthusiastic about is the fact that there's inventory to sell.
Yep.
And that should spell a lot more, a bounce in the increase of sales because, there was a lot of enthusiasm. Remember how COVID was, but how many people just weren't able to buy anything because they either couldn't compete or they couldn't find anything or both. And now there are still people that wanted to buy back then that haven't yet. So just wait until they get back in the market. And to your point about borrowing money from your HELOC and refinancing and taking some equity out, that's also great for investors. That's people are going to buy VRBOs again. There's people that are going to buy a house for their, first time buyer kids, all that.
Julie, it's great for Barnes and Noble. It's great for the, landscapers. It's great for the people selling expensive vacations to Italy.
And when people have that enthusiasm, they're more likely to buy a house because they have confidence.
Right. And that's all coming. That's all coming to. You guys remember like 5 or 6 years ago when it felt like that? It's going to feel like that again soon. So just be preparing. And Julie, I asked her, and I agree 100% with her answer. If you were confident that was going to be the new housing market, and what would you be doing now? And definitely is focusing on becoming a listing agent. The idea that you're gonna. So like what was working in the past housing market will not work in this new market, especially because of the advent, or really I will say the, of AI, frankly. So if you're generating a lot of leads from passive lead generation, from social media, from videos, from all these different types of paid advertising, because it is all paid advertising, call it what you will, put a different bow on it, but it's still paid advertising. If that's where you're getting your business from, and that's what you're trying to do to win the war, get consistent lead flow, that is going to be the hardest way to generate leads because of the competition that's going to create from the AI, making everybody into an influencer. And I know personally, I was on somebody's podcast 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and this guy does a great job teaching agents how to make videos. That's his main thing, YouTube videos, the whole thing. He's trying to get into other aspects of coaching and training, but he doesn't have the background for it. He doesn't have, frankly, the skill set that we teach you guys because he never had to have it in his own real estate business. So I'm listening. I'm on this podcast, just him and I. And prior to him hitting record, I was asking him what he is planning on doing with his fans, followers, whatever you want to call them, that are going to essentially be screwed because of AI. And I told him my thesis, and he said, Tim, that's what I'm most fearful over. Oh, I thought, well, shit, that's awesome. I can't believe this guy who's been, hoisted up as being a great, leader of all agents becoming their own brand and all the rest of it. The very fact that he's seeing what I'm seeing, that tells me that this guy's going to be ethical and he's going to tell his followers that they need to be preparing to change, to adapt to what the new market is going to require. And I thought, well, this is going to be a great podcast. I'm really happy, really just, I was thrilled. And then we get into the podcast and he won't talk about it. He doesn't talk about it. He cannot tell, he would not, even though I tried to lead him that way. It was his podcast. I'm not going to be rude and embarrass him.
Sure.
But I tried to get him probably 6 or 7 times to actually talk about what he truly thought about what AI was going to do to all of the content creators and all that he has been a proponent of forever. And he wouldn't do it. And I thought, well, okay, well, there goes out the window my thesis that this guy's ethical, because he wasn't. He wasn't going to tell anybody watching that YouTube video or however he's going to use it. I mean, I'll tell you what my big takeaway was, and I think I'm right. I don't think he's going to use that interview. I don't think he's going to play it anywhere. I don't think he's going to make it into anything, because there's no way he can edit that interview where he's going to be able to remove me telling the truth about what's going on in the market. And he knows what I'm saying is the truth. And he had said it to me prior to the thing starting. And I just want you guys to put all these thoughts together, because what's actually happening in the real estate market, and Julie and I've seen this happen before, but what's happening now, I think at a faster clip than most people are understanding, is, and this will happen within 12 months or less, you're going to have a whole bunch of things happen at the same time. You're going to have the housing market reignited. You're going to have interest rates fall. You're going to have people feeling cash rich again. You're going to have all kinds of different, housing adjacent businesses and economies that are going to start taking off again. All these wonderful things are going to happen. And a lot of agents are being left along the side of the road because of the very fact that they're going, shit, where are my leads? Why isn't this working anymore? 5 years ago, what happened? I was told to make all these videos every single day. I was told to be the mayor of my town. I was told to be an influencer and tell my story. All these things, all of that stuff, I promise you guys, is not going to be 100% irrelevant, but it's going to be 90% irrelevant, because every single agent getting into the business, in the business now, is going to be able to click a few buttons on their keyboard, and the AI is going to create a mountain of social media videos, shorts, and all the rest of it. Like, I'll tell you guys, have you guys seen those funny as hell? They truly are funny baby videos on Instagram that are being done by AI. I asked Anne, who runs our that end of our business, to create some of those videos for us, so you guys can start watching the podcast on Fridays of baby Tim and Julie doing the points. Wouldn't that be hilarious? I think it would. But just carry this through. So that means that an agent who for the last 5 years has been laboriously learning how to create really great video content, and let's say they've gotten some traction, AI is going to make it so the agent who's was a school teacher who's now retiring, who's going to get their real estate license, they're going to be able to go to a, join EXP or join some, right? They're going to be able to do it on their own. And they're going to essentially fill out a little profile. They're going to do a little short video so the AI can learn their facial expressions and all the rest of it. They're going to probably have to read something so AI knows their voice and the inflections and that sort of thing. And then the AI is then going to go out to the marketplace, and it's going to create a schedule of content that it's then going to write the script for, that it's going to create the video for, of you doing it, you saying it, and it'll be indistinguishable. You will not be able to look at one of these videos. You can't now. How much of this stuff you guys are watching on Instagram or YouTube Shorts, how much of that's AI versus a real human doing it? In 90 days to 120 days, you will 100% not be able to distinguish the difference. So if your whole future in real estate was dependent in your mind on doing all that social media branding stuff, and I'm going to win the war, let's just say you are the best creator of content ever, instantly that moat that you thought you were building around your business is eviscerated. That is what's going to happen. I promise you that is what is happening. How are you going to win? You've already got all that content out there. It is going to become ineffective faster than you can possibly imagine, because there's going to be too much of it. And then what's going to happen is you're going to be listening to Tim and Julie, and you're going to realize where you should have been putting your efforts is more contacts, getting to know, frankly, doing more things that would require more one-on-one contact with humans, learning how to have real conversations over the phone or in person, because that is where the money is going to be made. Because at the same time, there's all of this AI created content, which is going to make all of it feel very ubiquitous. You're not even going to tune it in anymore. Funny baby videos aside, or funny cat videos even. But you won't even pay attention to it, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry real estate agent's going to have 1 billion followers and 1,000 views on YouTube. If that was your differentiator, it's going to be gone. And so what is that going to leave? A bunch of agents essentially without leads. And then they're going to be suckers to having to buy leads again and then pay referral fees. And they're going to literally miss the very beginning stages of the greatest housing boom that we're going to experience in our lifetimes. So Julie said it right. If I was preparing for this next leg up in the housing market, I absolutely would be focusing all my best energies on becoming a listing agent. And if you don't know how to do it, learn. I mean, that's what our Premier Coaching Program is about, obviously. And those of you who are at the top of your game, who are really wanting to take your business to the next level, you might want to consider elite coaching with either Julie or I. It's where she or I do it, coach you personally. It's expensive. We're selective. You have to qualify, the whole thing. But if you are already at the point in your business where you're looking to go to the next level, or let's say you were a rock star in the past and you want to retain your rock star status, that's what we're all about. Some of you who are newer agents, who have backgrounds of being successful when you're coached at a high level, maybe you're, a great lawyer, or maybe you're a professional athlete. I've had new agents who are fighter pilots, retired from the Navy, things like that. I don't care if you guys have never sold real estate before. You know what it means to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. And I will 100% consider taking you on as an elite coaching client. But if that is you, or if anywhere on that spectrum, text me directly. There's no fancy landing page. There's no fancy drip campaign. You text me, give me a little brief description of yourself, and I'll text you back. And we'll have a conversation and see if you're a fit for Julie or me as a personal coaching client. My cell phone number is 512-758-0206. 512-758-0206. Now, some of you are saying like, oh my gosh, how can you give out your cell phone number? There's tens of thousands of people listening right now. It's because this is the reality of it. I will get maybe 15 or 20 texts from having said what I just did, but the people will self-select, because they already identified that. And I'll tell you who you are, who's going to text me. You've been listening to us for a long time. You've tried all the other things. You're done getting ready to get started. You want to be held accountable. You're tired of your own BS in a lot of ways. You now are realizing that there's a few seemingly impassable mindset issues that you have to obviously overcome to make the most of this housing market. And you're at least receptive to the belief that your best days are still in front of you. Those are the people that are going to text me. They self-select. Now, if I'd asked you to go to some landing page and opt in and get dripped upon, do you see how that's an impersonal, non-congruent experience? Is that the right way of saying it? Non-congruent, right? Yeah. And that's what many of you are doing in your businesses. You're making it so that buyers and sellers, primarily sellers, who choose to do business with you have to go into these drip campaigns and have these very impersonal, fake experiences before they ever do business with you. Versus, I'll give you an example. One of my new elite coaching clients, after one call, I gave him homework. And one of his homework assignments was to do open houses. Now, this was an experienced agent who sells a lot of homes. And doing an open house to some of you would have been like, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's what new agents do. He did not argue with me. He said, I'm going to do open houses. He went out and did he didn't even follow the open house plan. He didn't even, I don't think he didn't download it. He didn't read it, our ultimate open house plan, but he still did it. He got 20 people through, but here's the kick-ass part. He went on 2 listing appointments as a direct result of having done that one open house. Mm-hmm. He generated 2 listing leads and went on both of them. One of them was the neighbor across the street. How crazy is that? Someone who was flipping the house, the house that they were living in. So the moral of the story is that direct personal communication is where it's at now, not the digital stuff. Trust your coaches or your future coaches. Move all of your best efforts to being more human-like and less machine-like. Like when you guys are using ChatGPT or whatever, one of the prompts that works, if you're trying to get it to write something for you, is tell it to write it so it's more human-like and less machine-like. And it is really pretty damn funny how different it is. But some of you, everything, even how you talk, sounds machine-like. And the people that, it's just a tiny little thing, right? Knowing how to actually make people want to do business with you because you know how to show sincere interest, ask questions. You're somebody that they want to do business with. A lot of you, because you've been lied to that you can digitize everything in your life and hide behind drip campaigns, you're going to miss out on the market that's arriving now. Julie, what are you thinking?
I was thinking it's I was thinking about my own coaching calls, and it's very interesting how much of our work is in this arena of getting agents,
One tiny little thing.
but it's
That's
a
where it's
huge
at.
thing.
Right.
And it has such impact, like your example with the open houses, is helping agents be more communicative and more effective with their one-on-one communication, with their over-the-phone communication, things that are not drips or digital or AI generated. I joke with coaching clients sometimes about use your AI slaves to solve, this wording problem or to do this research thing, but don't sound like you're the AI. Don't have your AI do the communication for you. So it is a tool. It's not that we're anti all of this. It's that I think you're right. It's making it even more important for you to be real, for you to have those real conversations. And we I think we've started to do even more work with one-on-one communication, helping them have better, more effective conversations and use of scripts and things like that, even more now because of the onset of AI and the results of COVID. I have had coaching clients come to me and say, you know what, I never feel like I got out of my COVID cave because they were especially the ones that were in really isolated cities where they were on lockdown for 2.5 years. And they stopped that interpersonal communication. It's like they got out
But
of the habit
it's
of
not
being human.
it's not just them, it's the prospects, it's the
And it's
buyers
their
and
prospects.
sellers.
That's right. It's right
It
back at them.
exactly. So we all have gone, lost our ability to look. I'll give you guys another example. So I've got another couple, another new elite coaching couple, and they are. I'm not going to mention their names. I know they're watching, though I'm very tempted to, but I haven't asked their permission, so I won't.
Yeah.
But they are very sweet, very loving, God-fearing, just really great people. And they're very successful, earning hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, almost all from their centers of influence and past clients, with the exception of the husband occasionally doing direct outbound proactive lead generation calls to the centers of influence and past clients. They really weren't doing anything organized. And so after 5 years, 61% of the average agent's business comes from centers of influence and past clients. And these guys are blessed with a great average sale price. They are in a buyer's market, and they do have a lot of inventory. So those are the pieces on the chessboard. So the first thing I asked them to do was to actually make proactive lead generation calls using not even really a script, frankly, to their centers of influence and past clients, just reconnecting with all of them. I think they had 500 people in their database. I wanted them to divide the database, just basically each of them start calling a certain number every single day, not just calling, but making contact. And they overstated their goals between our first call and our second call. I didn't correct them. I just wanted them to, like, they were confident they were going to make far more contacts than I thought they would. And sure enough, they fell short of their goals, but they made more contacts than they otherwise would have because they didn't want to come to the coaching call not having done their homework. So between the two of them, they made like 30 honest to gosh contacts, real conversations with decision-making adults about, listing their homes primarily. And what was the big takeaway? Did they generate any actual listing leads? No. But did they have meaningful conversations that inevitably will lead to listing leads in the near future? Yes. And the gal in particular, she was very hesitant about making these calls. And again, remember, these are not slackers. These are very, very successful agents. Did not want to pick up the phone. A sweet, wonderful gal. Did not want to pick up the phone. Did not want to have conversations with her centers of influence and past clients. Why? And I didn't want to spoon feed her this, and she eventually figured it out. It's because she was thinking about herself. She was worried about what will happen if they say this? What will happen if they ask me this question? And she was inwardly focused on how making those types of contacts makes her feel, right? You guys get it? So if I pick up this phone, what will that person think of me? They'll think I'm desperate. They'll think I'm, some sort of horrible person because, whatever. All these types of ego-focused questions or ego-focused thoughts, all about me. And what she discovered and she discovered after making her 12 contacts, that when she just is herself making these calls, that people wanted to talk to her. They wanted to connect with her. And the conversations were wonderful. And they were making her feel in alignment with what her highest and truest purpose was, which is being, a top level real estate agent. She was moving aside from the egotistical fears of making those contacts. And she was in alignment with what her highest and truest purpose which is being of service to other people. You guys get it? That is one of the biggest issues that many of you are having with doing the real work of real estate is you're not willing to set aside your own egos and set aside what you think they'll be thinking about you. And I got news for you. What they'll be thinking about you, and I'm not asking you to call up with some rudimentary garbage dumpster fire script. Just do a little homework on them beforehand, call them up, see what's going on in their lives if you haven't contacted them in a while. Call them up, go social, right? Facebook, whatever, and just reconnect with them. Don't apologize that you haven't called them forever. That's a rookie mistake. They're not keeping track the last time they called you or you called them. Just check in with them. Hey, I was just thinking about you. That's the best way ever to start a phone call. Hey, Julie, I was just thinking about you. And I saw over on Facebook, you guys just got back from your trip from Spain. That's amazing. And Julie and I were thinking about going to Spain. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. You guys get it? And then the call is going, there's no time limit, especially when you're reestablishing relationships with these guys. There's no, I'm going to make every minute, Now, if you do get somebody that's long-winded on the phone, you can start out by saying, listen, I had 15 minutes free and I just was over on Facebook and I saw that you just got back from Spain. In other words, you set the idea that the call was going to be for a limited amount of time when you got on the phone, those types of things. And then what you do is they're always going to ask about the real estate market. The person you're calling, you don't even have to bring it up. What's going on with housing? It's really blah, 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 blah. Never say anything negative, but don't lie. Don't say it's the best market ever when they see houses are sitting on the market. Say it's a really interesting time right now. We're seeing a lot of people, for example, I'm just winging it here, but a lot of people that have been sitting on the sidelines that haven't been able to buy homes now because there's more inventory and the houses are adjusting now to meet the buyer's expectations. We're seeing a lot of folks that are being able to become homeowners, which is really exciting for me. Honestly, it makes me, those types of thoughts. At the end of the call, towards the end of the call, hey, by the way, Julie, before I let you know, who do you know is thinking about selling their home in this market that I should be helping? That's it.
That's
Not
it.
hard.
Don't make it so hard.
Exactly. Not hard. The conversation itself is fun. It's easy, but it's your ego.
Yes.
And it's your perception of what they're thinking about you that's standing in the way of you making the most of this new market. So to Julie's point, if you knew for sure that this is just the beginning stages of this new boom market, you would absolutely question everything that you think I need to do more branding, more marketing, more advertising, more YouTube videos. I'll seriously suggest to you that you not think like that. You instead think, how do I become more in direct contact with people and stop being lazy and low skilled and try to do things passively and have those conversations because that's what people want. That's what you want. When was the last time somebody called you? One of the other scripts is, and this is not something you necessarily do right out of the gates, but you call them and say, ring, ring, hello. Hey, Julie, this is Tim Harris at the eXp Realty. So listen, I've been getting a lot of calls and emails, just folks just contacting me, asking me about what's going on with the housing market. In other words, a lot of people are kind of worried about what's going on with their home's value. And so as a courtesy, I'm going to be giving everyone a call, everyone I know, love, and all my past clients, all my friends and family. I'm calling all of them personally every single month. And I'm going to give them a quick update, a quick snapshot of what's going on with their home's value so they don't have to worry. And I've got your quick update for you now. And then you just give them an overview, give them an absorption. There's, 5,000 houses for sale. Last month, 1,000 homes sold. And assuming the same number of homes come for sale, we have about a 5-month supply of homes, just some overview thing. And then ask them, so would you like me to do a more in-depth study of your home's value? What it'd be worth if we put it on the market right now? Most of them will say no, 10% will say yes. And you say, great, confirm their email and whatnot. And then do the CMA, send the CMA over, and then call them back. Don't just send the CMA and do nothing after that. Call them back, review the CMA with them, and then find out if they're actually thinking about putting their house for sale. That's it. There's so many different strategies where your mission is to put yourself in a position to help people and stop hiding behind things that are digital. The whole entire world and most low-skilled agents are going to go digital. You go the opposite direction. Is that clear, Julie?
Well, if you set it and forget it, they will forget you. That's the fact.
Damn, mic drop.
I'm just saying, okay, don't make it so hard. What I say to coaching clients that because this is a very common place to be stuck. Many of you will say, that's why I don't make the calls. That's why I don't set up the meetings. I don't know what to say, how to say it. I don't want to sound like a salesperson. Again, to Tim's point, making it all about you. Be yourself, but be yourself talking about real estate eventually. on that conversation. Don't make it so hard. We teach the Ford pattern, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, to make it a little bit easier. But that's not even really a prescribed script. It's just a conversation outline, but you have to get used to doing it. So that's a lot of the work that we do with our private one-on-one coaching clients. And Tim, you mentioned, most of them are experienced agents. They go through this too. It's not just newbies that wonder, what do I say and how do I say it? It's even people who have hundreds or thousands of past clients get stuck here too.
The other thing, Julie, is I'm finding with all of my elite clients is because a lot of them have what I would call very good personalities. They're either very enduring or they just have, they have magnetism.
Quality, nice people. Yes.
Yeah, quality, nice people, but also they've been successful mostly riding on their personalities, truthfully. And I have no exceptions to that with my elite clients. And so they don't have systems. They don't have an organized pre-listing pack. They sure as hell don't consistently pre-qualify. They don't have listing presentations. They have these patchwork quilt things. And it is funny too. Julie, I promise you, there are tens of thousands of agents out there from listening to our podcast that have put together what they think, their pre-listing pack and their listing presentation should look like purely based on this podcast. And I know that's true for a lot of you.
I know what you're going to say, because when we get new clients, we see bits and pieces of the weaving together of things. Right. Yeah,
exactly. And so that's the other thing I'm saying. People that are saying, I need to actually get my shit together. I need to formalize what I'm doing. I need to follow your guys' process textbook because I know it works. And yeah, I need to, again, I know these are all folks that are confident. They see the breadcrumbs in their own market, that the market is going to definitely turn with vengeance. Remember, housing market boils up fast, slows down slow. It doesn't slow down fast, slow down super slow, what we believe to be the bottom of the slowdown. And now we're going to see a boil up fast. And new kings and queens of these real estate markets are going to be crowned quickly because of the fact that they have existing listing inventory. That's what's going to happen. So if you're in a marketplace where you have, 10 or 20 listings or 5 listings even, and the market all of a sudden starts to heat up, the sellers who are then going to be putting their houses for sale are going to then be looking to see who is active in the market based on the for sales. And now those are the listing agents then will double or triple their inventory because they're going to be given more opportunities because their past performance has proven their ability to be successful in a crappy market. And now that market's heating back up, the sellers are going to list with them. That's what we're experiencing now. At least that's what our elite coaching clients are experiencing now. And if you're not experiencing that, it's probably because you're listening to these gurus who are essentially, telling you guys stuff that they know, as the example I gave you, things that they know are not true. And you've really got to take care of yourself in a changing market like this and you take your business to the next level. And so here's the other thing. I see this happening a lot. People, even though they've listened to the podcast for a long time, Julie and I are not woo-woo. We're not going to do a lot of mindset stuff because we know ultimately that stuff is all just basically, forgive me for this, but mental masturbation. Some of you are laughing, some of you are offended, but still it is kind of funny, But moral of the story is the best way to get past any of your mindset garbage is through action. You will not remember having all the scarcity thoughts, all the this thoughts and all the other things, all these sort of pseudoscience, issues that people supposedly have with their mindsets when you have 10 listings, when you're making 100,000 a month, when you have 20 listings and you're making 150,000 a month, when you're, living the life of your dreams because you did what you didn't want to do and you didn't want to do it at the highest level. You can stop worrying about fixing your mindset provided you're taking massive action, right? I'll give you guys a real salient example. And Julia, hopefully you have some good stories left. Sorry.
It's okay.
You can tell the coffee kicked in, right?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of people for their entire lives have fought to lose weight and I've done this diet. I've done this diet. Guys, remember Jenny Craig? What happened to her, right? She probably got a real estate license. So anyway, so you have all these people that have done all these different, there's the keto, there's the low carb, there's, all these things. And all of a sudden, there's this new peptide created, semi-glutide, or really kind of commercialized, where people can take a shot, and now it's a tablet, I guess, and now they can lose weight. So all of the mental consternation there, I changed it to be less offensive, is going to be set aside because you can take a shot and lose an enormous amount of weight. Manjaro or whatever it is, he causes you to even lose more weight as a %, I guess. In any event, what will that do to a lot of people's perceptions about what they can achieve in life, if they had as their big mooring line or their big anchor, I'm fat, look at me, I don't look good. Maybe they didn't even realize how much psychological baggage that was giving them because they felt less than. Now all of a sudden, there are these new lean versions of themselves, and all of that burden of maybe carrying that literal weight and emotional weight around is gone. Imagine how much that's going to free people up. Well, you can't take a shot like that and be successful in real estate other than actually going out there and doing the work and taking listings. So the equivalent of the semaglutide injection to lose weight is to build listing inventory, because that's going to cause you to break free of whatever head junk you believed incorrectly about yourself and what you're capable of, because now you're taking listings. In real estate, the only thing I miss is taking on listing appointments. That's it. Nothing about real estate other than that did I love. But going on listing appointments, especially competitive, that is incredible. And when you guys are experiencing that as well, a lot of you go on listing appointments with centers of influence and past clients you've never had to compete before. And you're maybe able to have great businesses that way, and that's fine, truthfully. But I'll give you a little hint here. You're going to have to learn how to compete if you want to break free of the bonds of just doing your certain amount of, usually it's 20 to 25 sales per year. If you want to go past that, you're going to have to be more competitive. You have to learn how to compete. But once you are in a competitive listing appointment and once you win, it is essentially like the obese person that loses all the weight, and now your reflection looks totally different because you now see what you're capable of. You did something you didn't even know you could do. You followed our 7-step listing process. You were competing for the listing. You pre-qualified. You knew all the answers to what the seller's motivation was and time frame. You sent the pre-listing pack. You used our listing presentation. You took the listing. You won. As soon as you have that experience once, I promise you your life changes. Julie's smiling too because she knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, it's like, what's the Red Bull saying? It gives you wings. It's like Red Bull for agents, because it's once you have that experience, now all of a sudden, it's so funny. I love to see agents go through that transformation. I know you do too, because now you can do it. All of a sudden, your lead follow-up is done all the time.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you don't have to be reminded about any of that.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
are
and by the way,
top.
you're finding out right away when that buyer calls you. You're going, oh, ring, ring, hello. Hey, Julie, I'm calling about 123 Elm Street. Oh, that's a terrific property. A lot of folks are calling me on that one. Let me check to make sure it's still available or see what the current price is. Oh, by the way, which house in the neighborhood are you thinking about selling? Boom. I'm not going to have to coerce you into going right to the listing opportunity because you have a pre-listing pack that's going to get you the listing. You are excited to take the listing. You're confident.
And you're not going to throw them into your drip system and wait for them to feel like calling you. You're just going to set the appointment. And then you're going to go there and you're going to follow the 7-step listing appointment and your listing process. And then you're going to win. And then you're going to want more. And then all of a sudden you feel like, oh gosh, what if I were to call some expireds? Because now I know I can take them. What about that for sale by owner that I keep on driving past? Maybe I had to stop the car and go and door knock and get to know them a little bit and see whether I can help them. It really is like a transformation that happens. Like, it's almost like your business mindset and your business soul opens up to your own possibilities. And it's so fun to see.
Well,
and it does happen. That's not just like something that happens your second year in business. That can happen for people that feel like they're stuck at 30, 40, 50 million because they keep doing the same things they've been doing, which is at a high level. They keep getting the same results, but they know that they can do more. They want to do more in life. And that's why we have goal setting too, as part of our coaching, is what is next for you. So don't feel like some of the things that we've talked about are just for rookies. You can be stuck at any level.
You can. And that, again, those are a lot of the folks that are asking Julie and I to have them as elite coaching clients. And if that's you, text me directly at 512-758-0206. Julie, do you have one good story left?
Let's see which one is my favorite.
You let me get on one of my rants, so that's your fault.
Oh, okay. So I'll save a couple of the other ones for next week. This is interesting and just totally different than what we've just been talking about. Because remember, it is Fun Friday, although we reserve the right to digress. All right. So this is actually segment 6. We'll save the other ones. All right. Why airlines add tiny little baby chicks to flights with elephants? Didn't see that one coming, did you? When transporting an elephant by plane, or sometimes multiple elephants by plane, let's say that they're going from India to a zoo in the United States, for example, something surprisingly delicate is added to its massive crate: tiny, fragile chicks. Now, why would you do that when you're transporting elephants? It might sound absurd at first, but there's a deep wisdom behind it. Despite their immense size, Elephants are incredibly gentle creatures. The presence of these chicks taps into their powerful instinct to protect, not wanting to harm even a single chick. They don't want to step on any of them. The elephant will then stand motionless for the entire flight, which keeps them safe and also keeps the plane safe. You don't want elephants wandering around on the plane, do you? Or getting upset. It keeps them calm and it helps to balance the aircraft. Isn't that interesting?
But you know what, Julie, what you just said is really magical because it ties in with what we were just talking about, because the highest and truest purpose on our planet is to be of service to other people. And when we're not focusing on ourselves, when we are focusing on being of service to our, real estate coaching clients, and your guys are focusing on being of service to your, let's just say, sellers, and you're not focusing in yourselves and you're not focusing in your ego, you do have a state of calmness, and you are in alignment with your soul. That's what we truly believe. And you are all of a sudden starting to obviously tap into the higher energies that come from you wanting to, and, be like the elephant and not step on a chick. And I think that's kind of interesting. Maybe maybe it's a bridge too far, but that's where my mind went. So I thought it was beautiful.
I like how you tied that in. That's
yeah,
right.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Scientists have studied what makes elephants like that. They have a special type of cell that is only found in dolphins, elephants, and I think apes. And it is that cell that makes you more empathetic to others.
Yeah.
Playing into what you just said and making it not about yourself, making your highest and best purpose being of service to others. And when you lead with that, one of the things I tell coaching clients is when you're talking to somebody, whether it's in person or on the phone, be fascinated by them. Don't be checking your phone. Don't be looking at other things. Don't be, shopping online. Be fascinated by the person that you're talking to, because they can tell. They can absolutely tell. Yeah.
It's not a function that they can tell, Julie. I mean, you had one of your most popular things that you've written in the last few years has been about manners of all things.
I know. I was surprised by that too.
I mean, went bonkers. Your manners podcast, and that got republished in a bunch of different.
Yeah.
Didn't NAR republish that?
NAR and Housing Wire. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I thought to myself, why would that be true? It's because people don't know how to behave. That's why. And when you're around, if you guys really want to differentiate yourself and make people think and feel that you're different and that they'll remember you, creating a brand. One of the easiest ways to do it is just don't act like everybody else by not checking your phone constantly, by making eye contact, by
not above all that.
Right. By not wanting to talk about yourself, not directing conversations about you, learning how to learning how to listen, and then asking thoughtful, considerate questions. This is, a little bit of a weird loop that we're going on here, but it's so incredible, actually. I feel like I'm experiencing something, kind of magical here. But the reality of it is this all goes back to the agent that's afraid to make the phone calls because she is, worried about what other people think about her. And as soon as she stops thinking about herself and she starts thinking about those chicks and she starts thinking about, it's not even a think about, it's a feel about. That's an emotional alignment with all of a sudden she wants to make those contacts. She wants to help those people. That, by the way, is the perfect place to end this. And I know Julie and we have to go. Julie, I got your message. Is that I asked her if she felt like she was the best agent to help those folks. This wasn't my exact question, but it was close. Help those centers of influence, buy or sell real estate. And she said, yes. I said, so if you're not willing to let them know that you want to help them, are you potentially leaving them in harm's way? Isn't there going to be a wolf or, to essentially not do what's in the best interest of those people? You care about those people, right? Those are your friends and your family that people know, love, and care about, right? It's malpractice for you not to want to actually call them, but it's also not in alignment with your highest and truest purpose, which is being of service to other people. You guys understanding what we're saying here? Welcome to the new world of real estate. And for many of you, this is the new world of real estate because you've never learned these things. That's okay. Learn them now. And don't delay, for gosh sakes. Do not wait. Do not wait 2 years to see if Tim and Julie are right. We're right. And
let us help you. If you feel stuck and some of you listening, nobody's really got your back. You feel isolated. Maybe your broker's not helping or they're busy selling themselves, whatever the reason is. It may, it doesn't matter what the reason is. If that's how you feel, let us help you. We've got your back. This is what we do.
And, the other cool thing is because a lot of people will not ever relate to what we just said. They don't think their highest and truest purpose. It's all about them. It's the old question that Julie and I coined a long time ago. If you had to choose between being rich and famous, what would you choose? And everybody says, because they're trying to sound, like a stoic, they always say, I would choose to be rich because being famous delivers me no, real blah, blah, blah. They'll say things like that, but it's a lie because virtually everybody chooses to be famous. And that's the path they go down. And it's narcissism, a form of it, if you believe in narcissism. And so that's what our industry has been creating, a bunch of narcissistic puppets that are all emulating each other. And all the while, there's this little group of us that have been looking at all of this going on the sidelines and knowing there's no future in that, not knowing about AI necessarily and how prolific that would become, but knowing real communication is what wins the war. Julie and I knew it from having sold real estate, having coached agents, having coached some of the top agents in the nation. We know, despite the fact that they're on stage with their arms crossed, talking about the huge databases and how they have all these drip campaigns and all these inner working spider webs of, Venn diagrams and all that garbage. We know, because we coach them, where their business comes from: centers of influence and past clients and direct contacts. It doesn't come from all this other crap. But they want to tell you that because it makes them feel like if you're on a panel with a bunch of other top producing agents and you sold 100 million in real estate, as some of our clients do, and you're saying, and somebody in the audience asked you, what's your lead generation methods? And you say, well, every day I get up and I make contact with 10 of my centers of influence and past clients. And every single week I do 4 things that's going to put me in front of different folks. And I always just remind those types of things: high impact, low stress, low skill type activities. And they say that, people in the audience will not ask them any more questions because that's not what they want to hear. What the audience wants to hear is, I do Facebook ads and I tie those with this thing with Instagram. And then I got this drip campaign where I send all these videos, and I got this AI thing that's going and looking for the people who are all this stuff. That's what people want to hear. But that's not the truth. And we know it's not the truth. And intuitively, it's not the truth. So if you're in production now, overall, and in production means if you're selling, like, let's say at least 25 houses in the last 12 months, look, and you're not buying your buyer leads. If you're buying your buyer leads, you're making no money. For the rest of you, go and look to see where your business came from. And I know, especially those of you who are spending money on marketing and branding, where did your business come from? 90% of it came from centers of influence and past clients. We want to teach you how to expand on that and then create other proactive sources of lead generation so you can expand your business, so you can expand your lead generation. We talk about centers of influence and past clients a lot because it is the easiest, lowest impact first spoke that all of you should be deploying. And after that, you need to be deploying other spokes to enhance the center of influence and past client spoke. This is your market. This is your time if you choose for it to be. Or you can just let the train leave the station without you. It's fine. It happens. You'll regret it. The future version of you will look back and you'll remember, June 27th, 2025, listening to Tim and Julie on this podcast for an hour and 10 minutes. And you're going to say, I wish I would have listened to them. It happens. And you'll call us a year or 2 from now and you'll say, I wish I would have listened to you. We hear that a lot. Why wait? Why suffer? Do the right thing. Take care of future version of yourself. Anything you'd like to say to these guys, Julie? We got to go.
Well, I know that this is resonating with some of you, so allow us to help you get to your next stage. And you can text us. We're not, abusive, embarrassing coaches, as some of you have experienced before. We are here to support you and to help you and to shorten that learning curve and to let you know that you can do this. I think that hopefully you've heard it come out, how enthusiastic and how excited we get when you guys have breakthroughs. So if that's something that you want to participate in, just text him 512-758-0206. Give us a little bit of information about you so we can follow up. And guess what? We also follow up immediately as we coach you to do. So be ready for that call.
Unless I'm on a podcast or Zoom.
Or talking to another person.
But if you're just getting started, or if you're intermediate really and you're not ready for top level coaching, we definitely have a coaching program for you. The easiest way to get involved with us is just go to premiercoaching.com. Or just click the links below in the show description. You guys will see all the options there. In the meantime, have a fantastic weekend. Celebrate the knowing that you are in the right place at the right time. Now make the most of it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what your education level is. I don't care if you're fat, you're skinny, or whatever. You are in the right place at the right time. Go you. Now make the most of it. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show on Monday. Remember, if you're looking to binge on Tim and Julie Harris, we have, that sounds weird, by the way. If you're looking to binge on Tim and Julie Harris's podcast, how about that? We have thousands of past podcasts available to you everywhere. So have a fantastic weekend.